Oh my God. It's a good day for Chris. It's a good day for Chris. Guys, welcome back to Just Nuts. We have 4 new TRICKSTAR cards. Well, 3. We already read and went over the Fusion Monster a couple days ago, but we have like an official name, and it's the Fusion cards here too. So, 4 new TRICKSTAR cards, and some of them are interesting, some of them are not interesting, but let's jump into it. So we already went over the first TRICKSTAR Band Guitar Suite, or TRICKSTAR Band Sweet Guitar, level 7 Fusion TRICKSTAR Monster, 2200 attack, 1200 defense. It takes a TRICKSTAR Link and a regular TRICKSTAR Monster, or another TRICKSTAR Monster. So that's kind of annoying because it forces you to like run either like Bloom in the extra deck to make it with only one material, because you don't want to commit a Link 2 just to make this thing. This thing is not worth a Link 2 and another TRICKSTAR. Maybe it's worth like a free, like if you go like Candina, add Lilybell, Lilybell specials itself, Lilybell into Bloom, and then you can go from there, fusing those two together, or maybe like a Lycris in hand or whatever you have in hand. But it's not, this card's like so underwhelming. We went over it before, we'll go over it really quick. Doubles any effect damage a TRICKSTAR Link monster you control that is linked to this card inflicts to your opponent. So very specific and hard to reach. I feel like things like maybe there's a combo with the new field spell we'll go over in a bit, but like this seems like so hard to set up. You need, because like then this one isn't going to be the first one, because none of the TRICKSTAR monsters point up, right? Or maybe the one. Maybe does Crimson Heart point up? I don't remember. But we can't summon it down. It seems like so hard to set up. Each time a TRICKSTAR monster inflicts effect damage to your opponent, this card gains that amount of damage. And then once per turn during the end phase of a turn, this card attacks. The attack increased by this card returns to 0. Then you can add a TRICKSTAR monster from your graveyard back to your hand. That effect's pretty nice, little recursion effect, but overall, like with the fusion card like not being that great, it's just like you're lowering consistency in your deck, and this seems like so hard to set up, and it's just not worth. There's no protection. It's very susceptible to any kind of disruption. I don't know. This card is just really underwhelming. I don't think it would get any play in like competitive TRICKSTAR builds. I still think it's cool. I think the design is dope. I just wish it was better. Then we move to our Link 2, a new Link 2 for TRICKSTAR, this monster right here. This is TRICKSTAR Divaritas. Link 2 fairy effect monster. Attack 1800, so decent attack. You know, not amazing, but not insane. With a bottom left and a bottom arrow. Interesting arrows. Materials has to be 2 level 3 or lower TRICKSTAR monsters. So that's interesting that like Candina doesn't fit into this, so you can't just Candina into Lilybell and then make this. You have to use like Lycris and Lilybell, which is still not that insanely hard to do. But let's get further into those 3 effects this card. First effect says you can only control 1, TRICKSTAR Divaritas. Effect number 2 says if this card is special summoned, inflict 200 damage to your opponent. That's not that great. I mean, even with light stage, that's only 400, so not great. But I mean, to be fair, this card is even faster in time than like TRICKSTARs are. If you go first and like time is like that crunching right now, if time is like right on your heels, you literally can just link to this, burn for 200, time gets called, you win. If time is that close, I mean, obviously it depends how you finagle it, but this card does make playing in time even faster, because I mean, if you're going first and you just play Lycris or whatever and you don't get to your end phase quick enough, then but I don't know, not really. I mean, I just whatever. And the third effect says each time your opponent normal or special summons a monster, inflict 200 damage to your opponent. Now this is like the relevant effect where depending on the matchup, this card can like really, like if you have light stage in this card, that's 400 damage every time your opponent summons a monster. Like think about Gokis. Like Goki, 20 summons, your opponent just loses. So I mean, I don't know the official math on like a regular Goki combo, but they've got to be close, and this could be easily close to 6,000 damage right here. So I'm definitely curious as to like the math for certain combo decks at where they would sit in life points, because in the certain matchups, just summoning this and passing with like 1 or 2 back row your opponent may just lose. Gokis may just lose, especially if you do this pointing to Lycoris. So like every time they add, they take 400. Every time they summon, 400, and they may lose. So I think this card is relevant for that, but it also depends on the math and how much longer Gokis stay relevant. But there also are Dark Heroes, which are now popping up in terms of popularity, and we'll see where they go. They summon a lot. I know a lot of decks do. So this card could definitely be relevant for putting that pressure on of like they feel like they don't want to special summon as much, but they have to because that's what their deck does. Anyway, moving on, I'm going to do TRICKSTAR Fusion first because the card I'm most excited about is this field spell, TRICKSTAR Live Stage. But TRICKSTAR Fusion is a normal spell card. It says Fusion summon one TRICKSTAR Fusion monster from the extra deck using monsters you control or have in your hand as fusion materials. So literally polymerization, but specific to TRICKSTARs. And then the second effect says you can banish this card from your graveyard, target a TRICKSTAR monster in there, add it to your hand, but you cannot normal special summon that monster of that name. Oh god, I'm hiccuping. I got the hiccups. You cannot summon that monster for the rest of the turn. Sorry guys. Oh, I'm dying. So that's kind of okay. It's like polymerization, but you have like an okay add back effect for a monster that you can't summon. Is you could add like you could add either Candina for next turn, you could add Lycoris, and then you could swap it that turn on your opponent's turn. But I just think it's okay, and I don't think the fusion card is good enough to warrant running this card at all. So unless more fusions get revealed and they're actually solid, then I'm not really worried about this card. But let's jump into the last card. The card I'm easily the most excited about. I think out of all these cards, like the two fusion cards are like meh. The fusion monster, meh. The fusion spell, meh. This card's okay because of certain matchups and implications that where your opponent could just burn themselves to death with summoning. But we'll see. Oh, actually, they only need 19 because you do burn that 400 right out the gate if you have light stage up. So keep that in mind. You only need to burn for 76 worth of special summons. So yeah, TRICKSTAR Live Stage. This is the important card here. This is a card I actually think if Caribbean is in the game, this card actually may be played like as soon as it comes out. If Caribbean comes out in this set or sometime between, this card could be played with light stage. Maybe you just play this as a one of like when you want it because it's definitely not as good as light stage, but light stage is also the best field spell for an archetype I think we may have ever seen, period. But yeah, let's hop into it. It has 3 effects. First things first, the second and third effect are hard ones per turn. And then you cannot special summon monsters during the turn you activate this card, except for TRICKSTAR monsters. Not an insane problem. Not a huge problem. The only thing it may have, it may conflict with is like if you activated Scapegoat on your opponent's end phase, you won't be able to link away the scapegoats if you activate this card. So those cards can kind of conflict with each other a little bit, but not the biggest deal. But the first effect says when this card is activated, you can add one TRICKSTAR monster from your graveyard to your hand. Okay, nice little recursion effect. And with what this deck seems to be wanting to do is linking more, because TRICKSTARs don't really link that much, at least with the TRICKSTAR monsters, and especially not into the TRICKSTAR link monsters, because let's be honest, too many of the TRICKSTAR monsters are too like underwhelming. Like TRICKSTARs play like Holly Angel in the extra deck, but it's like so underwhelming for like where the game is now that like they don't make Holly Angel like barely ever. So that's kind of meh. So, but this is pretty good because if you're linking turn 1, if like the way the deck is going is like speeding up, so you're able to link turn 1, you can make your link and then you can add back something. If it's like a Caribbean, however you, I call it Caribbean, whatever. If you add back Caribbean, her special summon effect is not once per turn, I believe, so you literally just add her back and then you can drop her back on the field because you only had that one TRICKSTAR monster. So you use her for link material, special summon her again, and there you go. So this card's pretty good, especially good with Caribbean. Is Lilybell? I need to look up. Does the Lilybell still special summon itself off of being added from graveyard, or is it only when it's added to deck or from deck? Yeah, there you go. So yeah, it's only if it's not done by drawing. So you can add Lily Bell. So I guess this does have applications now. It just with Caribbean, the deck is way more flexible. So this card becomes way more useful, way more often. And I guess in later game, this card's better too, because I've actually had duels with TRICKSTAR players where they literally ran out of monsters. They did so much searching and it wasn't enough, and then they literally had no targets. They literally drew like a terraforming for the light stage, and then literally had no target to search the light stage. But this card could have done something there. So that's interesting to note there. Maybe it's a one-up that you just play because you do have 2 terraforming, which could be 2 more copies of this should you need it. But obviously light stage is the one you want to open up with first, but maybe this card is just a supplementary card because you can activate both in the same turn. You can activate light stage to search and then do a combo, make a link, and then if you had another way of getting this with like maybe Candina, if you didn't want to search anything else with Candina, you add this and then get one of your monsters back, probably Caribbean, and then using Caribbean again. So I think this card is good. That first effect's pretty solid. Second effect says if you control a TRICKSTAR Link monster, you can special summon a TRICKSTAR token. It's a level 1 0/0 light fairy. And this is another way that they're trying to push links. Like, not only is that first effect better if you're linking turn 1, but this second effect is better for going like turn 1 too. They're telling you make a link monster because you're gonna get free pluses off of it. Just a free token, which is pretty cool. There, and then the last effect says if your opponent controls a card in their spell or trap zone, period, you can special summon another token. I'm assuming it's the same stats, but yeah, so possibly in one turn. Going second, you can get 2 tokens. This is definitely like a push for game card. This is like not turn 1, but like after turn 1, you just have it as a 1-up because you can search almost every turn. Add this, activate this. As long as your opponent has summoned the spell and trap zone, you're going to get 2 monsters probably because of it. And then you've just got 2 tokens to link away with. Of course, you can only link it to TRICKSTAR monsters, but with Lycoris looping and stuff like that, that may be enough for game if you had the tools to like remove the monsters in the way already. So this card's pretty good. I feel like this card could just be played as a 1-of for like late game, like pushing for game. It also helps you like add burn. I don't know. This is just tough. It's a good card. It's a good card. The rest of the cards are not that great. I think this card's playable. We'll see. TRICKSTAR's extra deck is already kind of tight because they play Scapegoats and they need to allocate all those cards just for making Scapegoats usable. But I think this stuff is pretty good. The live stage and the link 2. The other 2, maybe for like fun decks, but as far as meta is concerned, the other 2 are the only relevant ones here. So hopefully Caribbean comes out in this set as well, because hopefully Caribbean comes on this set as well, and either Light Stage or Reincarnation gets hit on the ban list, because one of them needs to go. TRICKSTARs cannot just be winning with Droll Reincarnation combos. It's messed up. It's just wrong. It's just so wrong that it exists. Oy. But guys, I'm going to leave it off here. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you like TRICKSTARs, like, this is good stuff. I mean, honestly, TRICKSTARs have been meta for so long now that I honestly wasn't really expecting a ton more support for them. Not with Sky Strikers. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised. I was already expecting the 4th Earth Sky Striker that we got today as well. But yeah, let me know what you think about these cards. If any of my readings on these are wrong, let me know. If this fusion monster and fusion spell are actually good, let me know. Personally, I just think they're only good for like casual players. But thank you guys so much for watching. Enjoy the rest of your Wednesday, and get excited for these cards if you like TRICKSTARs. So, bye guys.